The $1,200 stimulus checks. We're going to be talking about the post office and what it means for those checks, as well as we're going to be discussing some dependents. As always, this video is dedicated for those of you in the following categories: low income, Social Security recipients, whether it's retirement, disability, or survivors, as well as SSI recipients, supplemental security income, and VA beneficiaries. Hey everyone, Matt here, back for another video. Today is Monday, August 17th. If you're new or not subscribed for any reason, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Perfect. Now that you're subscribed, let's get right into it. Let's talk about this. So, Nancy Pelosi, everybody knows her. She's going to be calling back the House of Representatives this week for an emergency session to vote on something having to do with the post office called Delivering for America Act. Essentially what that does, it prohibits any changes of delivery or service for the post office. This is really important. The reason being is they want to make sure that the post office is adequately funded so that they can continue operations as they typically do. Because if they, for some reason, run out of funding, which it sounds like they're basically bankrupt, if they don't get a big bailout from the government, basically their services and their normal delivery times, everything like that, is going to be halted or slowed dramatically. Well, why is that important? Let's think about some of the ramifications if this additional funding does not go through to help the post office through this time. Well, if you're still waiting on a stimulus check for either yourself or your dependent, or you're someone who maybe orders critical supplies like prescriptions, things like that, or maybe documents, things like that you're awaiting for through the mail, if they don't have this proper funding and they can't work as they typically do, their typical transit time, well, if you're waiting on that stimulus check, guess what? You could possibly be waiting even longer for a paper check delivery or one of those prepaid debit cards for either yourself or your dependents, or like I said, those other critical items like prescriptions if you do mail order. So this is important. Another thing too is not only is Nancy Pelosi calling back the House of Representatives this week, but it has also been said like, hey, you should also call back the senators so that we can maybe hash out some of this stimulus. As long as the House of Representatives is there, they're thinking maybe we should also have the senators come back in an emergency session as well. As everybody's back from their recess during this emergency session, maybe we can hash out some of the details of this stimulus package that's been held up for so many weeks now. Now, they haven't been talking about it a whole lot because Congress went on recess last week. However, the four people that we've been talking about, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Steve Mnuchin, as well as Mark Meadows, the four of them has still been in contact somewhat trying to get this hammered out, but honestly, they're not doing a whole lot. So we'll keep an eye on that, but the House of Representatives will be back later this week to talk about this, and hopefully the senators also come back, so maybe they can get some movement. All right, let's talk about some dependents. This is important. Everybody, listen up. This is important stuff. Dependents. This is regarding the first round of stimulus checks. So if you have a qualifying dependent under the age 17 that you have not received their payment for them quite yet, here's what's happening. A few months ago, on the IRS website, the non-filer tool closed to anybody who has a dependent. They gave you a short window. Basically, if you have a dependent, come on here, use the non-filer tool, fill it out so you can get your payment for your dependent. Well, that window closed and they were no longer accepting information through the non-filer tool. Well, how are you supposed to get your dependent payment? Here's the deal. They opened it back up. This is really important. The reason being, if you did not file a 2018 or 2019 tax return and the IRS does not know that you have a dependent for that additional $500, you should probably fill this out so you can get that additional $500 for your dependent. Here's the deal. They opened the portal back up through the end of September, through September 30th, and then it's going to be closed once again, and they said that they're going to be issuing payments for anybody that enters their information in now. They'll be issuing those payments in mid-October. They didn't say by mid-October, they said in mid-October. So maybe that's just the way that they wrote it. Maybe they actually meant by October, mid-October, but realistically, it looks like they're going to be sending those payments out in mid-October. That's 2 months from now. I just feel like, why do we have to wait 2 months for you guys to send this information and these payments out? But that's what they're saying, so who knows? If you haven't done that. Be sure you do that so you can get the extra $500 for your dependents. Remember, it's up to 3 dependents. So if you have qualifying dependents under the age 17, be sure to do that, because if you have 3 of them, that could be an additional $1,500. So that's important stuff. Regarding the second stimulus checks, we're really hoping, as long as Congress is possibly going to be back in D.C. this week, all parties, the House of Representatives and the Senate, we're hoping that with this emergency session, hopefully they can get something hammered out regarding these second stimulus checks, because you know what? Everybody's waiting for them. Everybody needs these. Not today, not tomorrow, but they needed them 3 months ago. So come on, guys, like, get your act together. You need to do something. All right, finally, we're going to talk about, there's this Problem Solvers Caucus. That's what they call themselves. It's a bipartisan group of Democrats and Republicans, equally weighted on both sides. And apparently they are working together to present a plan to President Trump regarding this current stimulus package that apparently can't be hammered out between Nancy and Chuck and Stevie Boy, I like to call him Stevie Boy, and Mark Meadows. But apparently those 4 can't come together on anything. So this Problem Solvers Caucus, this bipartisan group apparently is working up some kind of plan, kind of working behind the scenes diligently to come up with some kind of plan that they can present to President Trump and hopefully get this thing signed. So, as I mentioned in my other videos, without this emergency session, Congress had no intentions of coming back to D.C. until after Labor Day. Well, what would that mean? That'd mean that they would come back to basically D.C. to try to hammer something out in a time when they already have their backs against the wall, because they need to be negotiating out the next budget deal that would be coming up as of September 30th. So it's like, oh my God, they have so much stuff right now. They definitely need to come back. The fact that they even left on recess in the first place is ridiculous, considering they didn't figure anything out. There's so many people, I read tons of comments every day. It's really sad to see this. But so many people are leaving comments saying, hey, I got an eviction notice. Hey, I'm going to be evicted. I can't pay for food. I can't pay my utility bills. What can I do? It's a really sad situation, because if all of this in the stimulus package would have been hammered out like it was supposed to be weeks ago, we could potentially even be seeing those second stimulus checks by now. But unfortunately, as we know, nothing is taking place. Nothing's happening. So we definitely need these guys to come back and finally freaking do something. So anyway, that's about the information that we have as of today. Of course, I'm watching all this closely. I have your back. I'm doing more research behind the scenes to see if I can find more programs to help all of you out through this difficult time, because I know everybody's struggling. It bothers me to read through the comments and see it. All these people that are struggling right now, that are facing eviction, don't have enough money for food. It's just really a sad situation. But I love the comments. I really love the comments. It just makes me so irritated that, this should have been figured out weeks ago, but yet so many people are struggling by like no fault of their own, and it's just really sad. So anyway, I'm here for you. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll catch you again soon. I'm always here for you. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions. I do my best to answer all the questions, as quickly as I can. Of course, I can't get to everybody, but enjoy your day, and I'll be back either tomorrow or later today if there's significant information that I feel is worth sharing. So enjoy your day. I'll catch you later.